Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I am your host, Catherine Basu, and my guest today is Jean Gurkoff, the founder of Charity Miles, one of the most highly rated health and fitness apps that enables you to earn money for charity when you walk, run, or bike. Charity Miles partners with the world's top charities and is supported by great mission-driven companies who sponsor them. Charity Miles members have earned over $2.5 million for charity. They have won several awards, including a Webby for the best health and fitness app. Jean, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here as my guest today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all of your amazing charity miles over the years. You're one of our most active, isn't the right word necessarily, because I don't know who the most active is, but certainly one of the most vocal. I see you on Twitter all the time, and I always love seeing Fit Armadillo coming across the Twitter waves.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was really excited to find the app when I first heard about it, and so always trying to get more people to do it. I know, there's always those, and we should talk more about the app itself first, but there's always those, charity runs that you can do, and I find that there can be a big barrier to, asking friends to just, to sign up all the time to help you raise money for your favorite charity. So I love the opportunity to be able to do that just every day and have that added motivation. So for those who don't know, who haven't joined the Fit Armadillo team, haven't downloaded the app yet, what is Charity Miles?
So Charity Miles is an app that allows you to earn money for charity when you walk, run, or bike. Or are otherwise active. You can use it when you go for your morning run. You can use it when you walk your dog, when you're just walking through your day, counting your steps. And the way that we do that is that we partner with over 40 of the world's top charities, and we're sponsored by companies that are mission-driven brands, companies that want to help you be healthy and make an impact in the world. And all you got to do is choose a charity and go for a walk, run, or bike. And then we're supported by those great companies. So we've been at it for almost 6 years now, which has been, I can't believe we've been at it that long. We're a small company, and, we grow a little bit every year. And it's thanks really to people like you who join us and who tell their friends about us and really help grow the movement.
Awesome. No, I definitely love the app, and it's my favorite one. Everyone's always trying to get me to download all these other running apps. So I'm like, this is my favorite one. This is what I use. I have to conserve the battery power somehow, right?
Yeah.
So why then? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you're bringing up something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And so I guess you were going to ask why I started it, and I can come back to that in a little bit. But, one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately and haven't really shared that much with people, but a lot of times people will say, oh my God, Chet, that's so easy. You make it so easy to do. And I like that. I certainly love it when articles write about us, and when magazines and newspaper write about us and talk about how easy it is to use. But you kind of just touched on something that I've been thinking about. Charity Miles is actually really hard. And, you talked about how your friends try to get you to download an app, or you try to get your friends to download an app. Getting someone to download an app is really difficult. And there's so many things that are going on in our lives that are, drawing our attention, whether it's, life, our jobs, our families, relationships, whatever, you just want to zone out at the end of the day. All the million different things on your phone that are beeping and buzzing and flashing at you all the time. And so, to take the mental energy to say, I would like to download an app like Charity Miles, it's a huge step. And as we've been doing this for so long, I've really come to appreciate how big of a step that is. And so I'm just so grateful to you and everyone else like you who have taken that monumental step to download Charity Miles. And by the way, not just to download it, but to remember to use it is that's a big deal. People forget to use apps all the time, even when they really want to.
Right.
And, to have the mindful presence, when you're about to go for your run and there's all this other, do I have my hat? Do I have my sunscreen on? Like all the other, I just need to get out the door. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm half asleep. To have that mindful presence to like take out the phone and to choose your charity and press start is like a huge deal. And again, I'm just so amazed by you and all the other people like you who have joined us, because it means that you really care. And to me, that's what fires us up every day. That's what fires me up every day, that you and all the people like you who have joined us have that desire and have that mindfulness to make a difference is just incredible. So I'm just eternally grateful.
Thank you, Gene. And I really, like I said, just really have appreciated having that platform available and having a fun way to have a team and to keep some of my clients who are competitive with one another motivated in a way that means more than just running a few seconds faster or a few more miles than their friends or family members, but also being able to give more back to their favorite charities and to be able to do that in a way and to be able to give back in a way that doesn't require them to have to go out and be knocking on doors trying to fundraise anytime they want to do so. So tremendously grateful to you for having that vision and bringing the app to us so we can all give back together. So what caused you to actually start Charity Miles initially, Gene? What made you want to go on this journey?
So you were about to ask that and I cut you off.
No.
So I started this about 6 years ago in honor of my grandfather who had Parkinson's disease, and I had been running marathons like you were just talking about, asking my friends and family to sponsor me.
Yep.
And I always wanted to get companies to sponsor me. And I thought that if I could get enough people together, then we would have the clout of a celebrity and companies would want to sponsor us. And so that was the original idea, and it's changed, or maybe evolved is a better word, since then. But that's what we do, is we've amassed this large group, number of people who are using the app, and it draws the attention of corporate sponsors. And that's basically what we do. Is I'm out there every day trying to bring in more corporate sponsors so that we can raise more money for charity.
That little sound today is your reminder to pause the podcast and download the Charity Miles app if you haven't done so already, and look for our team at Fit Armadillo so I can cheer you on when I do my Saturday shoutouts this week. It's also the sign that we have reached the halfway, or a little over the halfway now, point of 15 minutes. So if you need to, go ahead and turn around now. Got it, Gene? And I know as a user of the app, I have seen different sponsors featured. Wondering if there's any who have been around for a while that you'd like to give a shout out to or just make us aware of.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So Johnson & Johnson has been a great sponsor of ours for a very long time. Not since the beginning. Actually, at the beginning, I sponsored the app myself because nobody would sponsor us. We didn't have enough people.
Yep.
And so that was a big risk. And actually, I went broke doing that. And like right before, my wife and I moved into like my parents' apartment, and it was not pretty.
Wow.
And right before we were about to just shut everything down, we started to get some of our first small sponsors, which was enough to help keep the company going, and then eventually growing.
Sure.
So Johnson & Johnson was one of those early sponsors. They've been with us for a long time. And we've had, we worked with Lifeway, Lifeway Kefir, which is sponsoring us now, and they were actually our first major sponsor. So you talked about, you were telling me earlier before we started recording about Julie Smolansky,
Yep.
and who's the CEO of Lifeway Foods. She was actually a Charity Miles member, and she's also the CEO of like a pretty major company, Lifeway Kefir. And so she became like our first major sponsor, and we're working with them again, which I'm really grateful for. We've worked with companies like Timex. We've worked with Jackrabbit Sports, Hoka, Ultra, Brooks. We were sponsored by Humana for a long time. We've got really great companies, really great sponsors that want to help people live healthy and make a difference. And I would say this, like I talked about earlier, that Charity Miles is really hard for people to use. Honestly, it's hard for companies too. If I think about it, if I want to like have empathy about it, because there's so many things that are pulling at their attention where they could be spending their marketing dollars.
Right.
And, Facebook, Google, television, anything, like they could be spending their marketing dollars on anything. And the fact that they are making a very, very conscious and mindful decision to say that they would rather spend some of their marketing dollars helping people live healthy and make an impact speaks volumes about the type of company that they are. And, that which makes me, and I think our members, that much more appreciative of the companies that we're working with.
Oh, absolutely. And for anyone out there who has a company and is looking for some options for advertising, I can say as a user of the app and someone who cares about being able to give back when I might not always have the budget to do so with my own funds, I greatly appreciate those companies, and seeing them multiple times a week keeps them top of mind, and I'm thinking about them in a positive light because they're allowing me to do what I always wanted to do but didn't have the athleticism to do, which is to be a sponsored athlete. So, Jean, I did not know the story behind the app and how you funded it yourself when you were getting started. Would love to have you share. I know people are listening who are trying to get some fitness motivation, and I try to encourage them to think about things as one step at a time. But I also have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen, and so I would love to hear a little more on your journey with the app for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it was over a year.
Okay, so not too long though. I mean, some of us, you're kind of going along, and it's a few years before you get your break. So challenging, but
yeah,
you should be proud of yourself for that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. And really, like I say, like I give all the credit to my team, who we work really, really hard, and to our members who've come together to create this community of people who really are passionate about making a difference. And the fact that our members are also open to working with these companies is what makes it successful for everybody.
Sure. So Charity Miles is kind of like your baby here. You've brought it through the last 2 years. What's your favorite part about Charity Miles?
It's kind of what I said at the beginning. It's seeing all of the people and all of the stories of the people who are using it. And like my favorite thing is actually like looking at Twitter and seeing people like you. Like I see you all the time, and it's great. It's what fires me up. I see people's photos from where they're running and where they're walking, and they're with their dogs and with the kids, and they're on top of beautiful mountains or at the beach or in the grocery store, or like just every day. And some photos are just truly incredible, and some photos are incredible because they're just regular photos, but that's what makes them incredible.
Sure.
And you get to see, like, wow, I can't believe people all over the country have joined this movement. And it's like, and over time, like I know, like our members, like there's two of our members who live up in Boston, and there's two of our earliest members, and they have dogs. They're sisters, and they live near each other outside of Boston, and they walk their dogs every day together. And every morning they would eat their charity miles with the Boston Weather Report. And like to this day, like the first thing I do in the morning is go on Twitter and look at the Boston Weather Report from these two women and think, like, I'm in New York, it's going to be it'll probably be similar to that. And one of their, like a few years ago, one of the dogs passed away pretty unexpectedly. Aww. And like, I honestly cried. I don't even know like when else I've cried, but like I cried as if I lost my own dog. Like I feel so personally connected to our members, and like I love it. Like I talk on the phone with them. I try to see them in real life whenever I can, and like it's just the people in our community are amazing. We've had 7 people walk or run across the United States with the app.
Oh wow, that's
one
awesome.
One of them just the last one that did it, who just did it, finished in January. We have a podcast with him coming out, Parkinson's, and he did it in like 67 days.
Wow.
Which, if it gets certified by Guinness, would be the fastest anybody's ever walked across the country. He didn't run at all. Another one, I'll tell you, didn't just go across the country. Most people go across like east to west or west to east. This person went from the tip of Key West, most southeastern tip of the United States, to the most northwest tip of Washington State.
Wow.
4,300 miles.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you 2 other things that are going to blow your mind. First is that this person has type 1 diabetes.
Wow.
Second, he's 11 years old.
Wow. That
He
is
started
impressive.
when he was 10 and finished when he was 11. And he walked 4,300 miles with Charity Miles from Key West to the most northwest tip of the Washington state. And
Wow.
that an 11-year-old boy would do that just blows my mind. And that these two sisters in Boston walk their dogs every day with it blow my mind. And that I see you on Twitter all the time tweeting out your Charity Miles and you've got your team going and all your friends using it. Like, it just fires me up every day. And, it's really hard, as you know, being a startup and like really trying to make it work. But,
Yeah.
having this is like jet fuel. And, I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Oh, well, you're making me blush so much on this podcast episode. But it's really been an honor to chat with you. And just, I do love what you're sharing. And this is why, one of my main reasons behind building my business and having the podcast is really to build a community, right? And so love being a part of the community, just, the Charity Miles community in general. And then love how you've clearly built like a really big, much bigger community. And that's really cool to hear those stories. And one thing, for us, Gene, I just started this podcast earlier this year, and it's called the Fit 15 because I'm trying to get people to get up and get moving for at least 15 minutes a day. And I've
Love it.
committed to the podcast being released 5 days a week, because if they can do that, 5 days a week, then they will definitely. I know it's a little crazy, but
so is this podcast meant to be like a 15-minute podcast that I listen to while I'm active?
Yes. And so what I do, they're not always 15
Love
minutes
it.
because I have awesome guests, right, that I might run over a little. But what I do, I have a little like audio soundbite at the 7.5-minute mark. So people that, I just want to encourage them to just like get up while you're at your desk, go out for 15 minutes. If you have to like finish the episode later, that's fine.
That's
But what
awesome.
thank you. And what I love though is I just found out about your podcast. I don't know how I missed it, but I love how you've been walking with your guests. And then, obviously like we want to get people 15 minutes can give them some, focus benefits, productivity benefits, just some general benefits, but doing 30 minutes 5 days a week of even walking can give them more of the health benefits. So, love that there's that option of listening to the Charity Miles podcast for some added inspiration just from the guests you have on, but also the fact that you're walking while you're doing the episodes. So I'd love to have you share briefly about the podcast and anything exciting about that before we close out.
Yeah, well, my mom always told me that I have a face for podcasts. So
she was ahead of her time.
We started the Charity Miles podcast about a year ago.
Okay.
Well, a little bit over a year ago, I started recording it. We started releasing it last summer.
Yep.
And it's called The Extra Mile. If you go to your podcast store and type in Charity Miles, you'll find it. There's actually a couple other podcasts called The Extra Mile, but we're the one that says Charity Miles on it.
Got it.
And the idea of the podcast is that I interview people who are going the extra mile in life. Either they're going the extra mile for health or for philanthropy or something else to help others. They've got inspiring stories. Some of them are famous or relatively famous. Some of them are our members. Like I interviewed that 11-year-old boy walking across the country. The last one that we just actually released today is with a woman named Diana Nyad, who people listening to this might know. She's been in the press a lot over the years. She's the first person to swim from Cuba to Florida.
Oh, sure.
And she's like this incredible like long distance swimmer. Really, she's like a force of nature. I've interviewed Bart Yasso, who is the chief running officer of Runner's World. I've interviewed Scott Jurek, who's one of the, most winningest ultramarathon runners of all time. He set the record for the Appalachian Trail, as many other records. Just incredible people on the podcast. And all of the podcasts are done on a walk or a run. And then we invite the listeners to walk or run with us. So like wherever we are, you'll hear like the sounds of the background. It's not like we're not in like a studio or on the phone or anything. We're actually out in the street, in the woods, on the beach, in a trail somewhere, doing a walk or a run. And then we invite you, the listener, to walk or run with us. And it's a lot of fun. Like we just did one, like as I mentioned, with Julie Smolansky, and it was done in New York. You can hear all sorts of construction and cabs and jackhammers going on around us. The one I did with Bart Yasso was out in the woods in Pennsylvania where he lives by the Runner's World office. You can hear like crickets and birds and leaves. I did one with Jillian Michaels on the beach in Malibu, and you can hear the waves come, crashing on the shore. It's a lot of fun. And And I really love when people listen to it and they'll tell me like, oh, I was out, running in my suburban neighborhood and like I heard a cab honk and I jumped because I thought it was like a car by me, but it was just like a cab from the podcast. But we've had some really incredible people on the podcast, and they've got incredible stories, incredible insights. It's longer than 15 minutes, so maybe for your listeners, like I love the idea of like a 15-minute podcast where you get up and be active for 15 minutes. So that's great. We'll share that with our members.
Sure.
And then if you want to go for a little bit of a longer walk or longer run, in the extra mile and come along for a walk or run with us.
I love that. Well, really appreciate having you, Gene. What's the best way for people? I mean, obviously, they can look up the Charity Miles app in the App Store. Any other social media things you want to mention that you're active on or you enjoy using the most that they might want to check out?
Yeah, please download Charity Miles. I know it's hard, but that's what makes it special. And check out the Extra Mile in your podcast store. And then we are on social media at Charity Miles, pretty much everywhere.
Awesome. And I guess, this is, I don't know, I don't really necessarily know any big companies that would be sponsors, but do you guys ever do anything, smaller companies or anyone that's interested in, maybe someone that's listening has a friend that works at a bigger company that might want to be a sponsor, or do you guys have any guidelines or tips, insights for people that might want to be able to give back that way?
If anybody knows somebody that would be a good sponsor for us, we've got companies of all sizes, big and small, that we partner with. So if you work at a company or know anybody that works at a company, please have them reach out to us. I think it's sponsors@charitymiles.org.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks, Gene. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, no,
Thanks to everyone out there for listening and being active right now.
Yes, they'll have to let us know how they feel after their walk and how much did they want to go a little further today to log an extra mile. So
love it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Gene.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi, podcast fans. It's Catherine. I hope you enjoyed today's interview and have downloaded Charity Miles if you have not already. Gene is proof that this really is my favorite app. If you're not in the app itself, you might not know that, but it is the app that I use when I run. I remember 90% of the time. When I don't, I feel guilty, but love the app. And our team has been small but mighty. The amount of money you raise for charity depends on the activity you do, but most of the members I know personally, and they are runners, so I'm guessing we've raised over $2,500 for our favorite charities as a Charity Miles team. We'd love to have you join us as well. Hope that will help encourage you to download the app, because I do post Saturday shout-outs on the Fit Armadillo social media accounts for all of our weekly members. And speaking of which, I figured, why don't I just give a shout out to those of our members who have been active this week. We have Kristen Clickenbeard, Krista Kelch, Meredith Rice, Amanda L., and Gene Gurkoff is also one of our Charity Miles team members who's been active this week. Hope you'll join us if you haven't already, and I promise to give you a shout out this Saturday if you do. Once you download the app, you can find and join teams by clicking on the 3 dots in the top left-hand corner. And when you do your search, typing in @FitArmadillo, all one word. Okay, like I said, priority for today is that you download the Charity Miles app. But I wanted to mention one other thing, because Gene and I kept bringing this up during our interview, is the amazing Julie Smolyansky. She is the CEO of Lifeway Foods. Obviously, she has a big heart because she has been a sponsor of the Charity Miles runners and walkers and bikers since the early days. She's very inspirational in general, so I recommend you follow her on Instagram. But if you go to the Fit Armadillo Instagram page, so go to instagram.com/fitarmadillo, and you find a picture of Julie and I holding her cookbook that was recently released, you can actually go and enter. The giveaway ends March 31st. You can enter to win a copy of it, a signed copy. Julie was sweet enough to give me a copy when I met her earlier this month. So don't forget to do that. Download your Charity Miles app and earn money for your favorite charities with Gene, Julie, the other Fit Armadillo team members, and I, and enjoy feeling like your workouts are making a difference, because they will be. Hope you have a great rest of your day. If you subscribe to the podcast, I will chat with you again tomorrow. Bye.